somebody who I've spent a lot of time with over the years is Mr. Joe Sindoni, the head coach of the Liverpool High School football program heading into the 2025 Section 3 Class AA Championship. Joe, how are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And I know that, this has been an awesome season for Liverpool High School. I know that you are very serious in your craft. I've had the opportunity to be in that meeting before, be over at practice, and I know how hard you guys work to get to moments like this. And we've been used to seeing a couple teams that are in this championship, and now we get to see Liverpool here fighting for a Section 3 Class AA title. Just bring me into this season and the road to get to a place where Liverpool can make some history.
Well, it started the week after last season ended. Our kids were in the weight room 4 days a week. We got a little beat up at the end of last year, and we made the determination that we were going to be a different team physically this year. And I think that, we've been that team up to this point. It's been a commitment by a large group of kids, and we have some really good leaders, and obviously some talented athletes and really good coaches. So it's come together for a very successful season so far, and we've every year I've been here, I feel like we've taken a step, and the program's gotten better than it was the year before, and we've accomplished that this year, but we're not satisfied with that given the opportunity we have in front of us tomorrow.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, this great opportunity that you have to be here. You mentioned your staff and just what the staff has meant to you. To just kind of go through the staff and the type of leadership that you have on the offensive and defensive side of the ball, as well as helping out and working with special teams. Just what you can say to go a little bit deeper into who your staff is and just what they've meant to you as you've grown over the years with them.
Well, how long do you have? Because there's a lot of them.
As long as you want.
Um,
As
you,
long
you
as
know,
we can enjoy a grandma's pie while we talk about it. But go
that's
ahead.
right. That's what's missing from this thing. I'm fortunate that I have some guys that played for me years and years ago, 1998, that have stuck around with me through all the places that we've been. One is Tim Lee, my defensive coordinator. The other is Tim Brown, he's my wide receivers coach. He's essentially our pass game guy. Those guys I've known them since they were in eighth grade, and they played for me at CBA in 1998. On the offensive side of the ball, I got Antoine Johnson that does running backs along with Tim Brown doing the receivers. Frank Nettie does my quarterbacks. Frank Nettie is 80 years old. He's been coaching at Liverpool since 1980, and he's got more energy than any staff member I got. My offensive line coach is a younger guy named CJ Carbone, who's a CBA kid. My tight ends coach is Scott Eustace, who's been at Bishop Ludd and been at Jordan Elbridge. On the other side of the ball, Tim Lee does the linebackers and calls the defense. Bob DeLong and Dan Salisbury coach our secondary. Scott Eustace does our DNs, and Elijah Wright, a new guy for us, Bubba from played for Syracuse University, coaches our D tackles. And then I've got guys that help us. Just Guy Blasey is essentially our operations person. He handles all the equipment, all the inventory. He and Steve Gonzadian, they got uniforms hanging in the lockers on game night. They make sure that everything's where it's supposed to be, everything's accounted for, and that it's a good experience for the kids. Drew Johnson helps out with the running backs with his son Antoine, and maybe most importantly, my daughter Juliana, films practice and does all sorts of things to help the team. So we got a lot of people helping. They all have a job. They're all concerned with just doing their job. That no one's trying to be the head coach. No one's trying to do more than what they need to do. They just kind of plug in and they know where we need them to help.
Yeah, and you mentioned
I'm
Juliana.
sure I forgot somebody in that thing, and I'll hear about it later.
Anyway, listen, you said a lot of nice things about a lot of people there with your staff, and you mentioned Juliana, your daughter, and all the work that she's done, and obviously John, your quarterback, your son, So, I mean, to have this family affair, to be at the Dome, to rise to the occasion, and to be fighting for a championship, and to know that, you have Juliana and John there with you, John on the field and Juliana right there on the sideline, a part of all this. I mean, that is a unique and really rare experience that coaches get to have. So bring me into that side of it.
It's been it's been great. It's been I've been with John for 4 years. Juliana's been at Liverpool for the last two. Um, Getting to spend that much time with them in these years of their life, I have really enjoyed it most of the time. Most of the time, they're still teenagers and they still have their moments where they make you nuts. But um, I it's been Liverpool has been an unbelievable experience for all of us, and the fact that we're having some success on top of it is just icing on the cake. They're going to go off to college next year. In fact, Juliana just found out yesterday she got in Alabama, which I'm very excited about because she aspires to work for their football program down there, and that was a big step. And we had the whole team gave her a round of applause in practice yesterday because we kind of found out in the middle of practice. But to have these experiences with my family has just been great.
Yeah, and shout out and congratulations. I mean, Juliana, if you are watching this live or on playback, congratulations to you for Alabama. And I don't know, maybe are we going to see the Sindoni family roll some tide? So I don't know. That'd be pretty wild, pretty crazy here. But
My wife's ready to move down there. I'll tell you that she's ready to go.
well, and I have to say this too when we speak about family, Joe, is that, you and I both know that over a year ago, we were planning on doing a show together, and we did a show together, had the football team come out, and this speaks to it speaks to our friendship, it speaks to your commitment, it speaks to who you are as a human being, that you came and did this show, and then, like, oh, by the way, you were like, oh, right before we were supposed to be here, we got into an accident. The car got totaled. Like, someone in your family could have died. You could have died. I mean, this was a crazy situation and a sad situation. And yet you're sitting with me in the booth, like, that almost happened. Just so you know, just got a new car, wasn't even a week old. It gets totaled. My family was in the car. I'm in the car, but there's no scratches on anybody and everybody looked okay, and we're just rocking and rolling with life. To look at moments like that where obviously God put his hand on your vehicle, to be where you are right now, and we talk about all these moments with family, just the appreciation for the blessings that you have in your life, knowing that, you know life kind of came before your eyes in recent history here, and everybody came out well. And all I could think about was, I don't even know if I believe you, Joe, because, like, everybody's good. Like, everyone's laughing and joking and eating pizza, but life comes at you fast. And, this
It
moment
does.
that you'll have in the Dome, it's here because somebody was looking out for you up there.
I agree. We were lucky with that. There's no two ways about it that we were fortunate to walk away from a situation where the car is totaled and all the airbags are deployed, and really nobody has to even as so much as sit in the ambulance. So we're lucky for that. I mean, obviously we've been given a lot of blessings, and you try to make the most of what you have. You try to maximize the opportunities that you're given, I'm a big believer in you know you will get out of something what you put into it. um but what you get may not always be exactly what you thought you were going to get. In other words, we're ready to go play for a championship, and we're excited about getting that. um and when we want to take this thing as far as it can go, but at the end of it, no matter what the outcome of that game is, we're going to sit back and say, wow, look at what we got together, look at what we had, look at the opportunities we had, look at the relationships we made, look at all of these other things that aren't even necessarily attached to the winning and the losing.
Yeah, and that journey right, that we're talking about to be where you are right now. I mean, you and I spoke. I had somebody reach out to me and said, "Have you ever spoken to Joe Sindoni?" And I was like, "No, I haven't had the opportunity." And at the time, you were out in Skinny Atlas, and they're like, "You definitely got to speak with him." And then obviously everything happened, and you shift from Skinny Atlas to Liverpool. And I was able to get in touch with you pretty quickly, pretty much right away. And we spoke with you coming into the program. What did you want to build? What was left there for you? Was there anything left there? What's the culture like? What's the environment like? How are you going to assemble this and put this together? So, I mean, I've been with you from when the opportunity pretty much started.
Yeah.
So, to be from that moment to where Liverpool is right now, what can you say about this football program from the day you walked in when we got to sit down basically and to the day right now where you're playing for a championship?
Well, I use the word culture a lot, but I think it's important with these types of sports programs and these types of things. We have worked very, very, very hard to change the culture that we inherited. Not that it was bad; it was somebody else's. It was what it was, but it wasn't how we wanted to do things, and that took time. And the thing about culture is it's always evolving. It's always challenging you. It's always something that you have to monitor. It's something you have to stay on top of, especially in a big school like ours. But I'm very. I think maybe the thing I feel the best about is not just the changes to the culture in terms of how we play football, but how kids act and how kids are as citizens in the community and how they are in the classroom. And it's never going to be perfect, but I'm very pleased with the way our program represents itself and the expectations of somebody now when you hear that they're a Liverpool football player.
Yeah, and when what are those expectations? When we talk about being a Liverpool football player, what has that grown into meaning in your
Well, I'll
opinion?
tell you, I'll give you a story. Middle of the season, I forget who we were playing. Referee comes over to me and he says, "What did you do to these kids?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Every single one of them, they all refer to us only as sir. They're polite. They don't say a word. They don't, I think being a part of my program, our program, the Liverpool program means that you should conduct yourself in a way that is both respectful of other people, um, as well as someone that's hardworking and someone that's going to go the extra mile with things, um, and that's the expectation. So it's how you address your teachers. It's how if they come on your show, how they address you. It's how they address the referees. It's how they conduct themselves, not just on the football field, but everywhere that they are. And we're dealing with teenage kids, and it's never perfect, but that's the culture that we're trying to build. That's what we want. We're trying to turn these kids into men that understand how to function in a society, the right way to treat people, work ethic, all of those things. We hammer on that all the time.
Well, and you and I had a conversation about this because when we did a show recently at Avicoli's, as we always do every year, right down the road from Liverpool High School, I said something to you. I said, every single one of your players that was there that day came up to you, and there was a ton of them, and they said, "Thank you, coach. Thank you, coach. Appreciate it, coach. Thanks for dinner, coach. Thanks for the pizza, coach. Thanks for getting dinner, coach. Thanks for that, coach." And then there was one kid at the end that came over to you and said, "Oh, coach, I want to make sure I said thank you." And there's been more than one occasion that you and I have sat down at Evcoli's, and I've looked at you and I've said, when you speak, like when we're doing the show and we're live and we're sitting there together, like when the kids speak, they're quiet, they listen to each other, they're razzing each other, having a good time. But you don't always see that with coaches. When you spoke, all of your student athletes were dead silent, watching you, listening to what you had to say. They were thanking you for being there, thanking you for the opportunity, thanking me for the opportunity, thanking you for the pizza. That goes off of the story you just told. And did I not just say to you a couple months ago, You don't get that everywhere, Joe. You don't see that everywhere, Joe. So I've seen the Liverpool football program culture in action and how they've treated me, how they've treated you, and how they collectively will join together and listen to something and approach something together. And I can honestly tell you that I can echo the story that you just told because I've seen respect from them for their coach, for the people working at Avicoli's, for me. So I can definitely say that that's a very real thing with Liverpool.
Well, and gratitude, I think, is something that we talk about also. You know, we've developed this great group of moms that every night before the game, so they'll do it tonight. They come in and they put on a meal, they put on a spread like you wouldn't believe, and you know, just to make sure that all these kids are getting a really good, solid, healthy meal the night before a game. And they give the moms a standing O every single time they're in there before they do it, and they walk through the line. It's, you know, it's please and thank you, and it's, you know, that's just part of it. And our kids have been really good with that, and we have good kids. You know, we have kids that have been fun to coach, and you know, makes you want to keep the season going that much more when you have a team like this.
So before I let you go, Joe, when you take a look at that last game, obviously at the time you're undefeated, CBA is undefeated, you match up against each other. What did you learn from that? Your takeaways, how you address practice, how you move forward. I mean, you learn from the wins, you learn from the losses, right? Great coaches learn from both, not just one or the other. But you have had the opportunity to play CBA as you get set to do it again in the championship game. So, what were the takeaways that stayed with you?
You know, the story of our season for this team was we played one bad half of football the whole season, and it was against CBA, and it was bad for a few reasons. One, it was bad because CBA is really good, and two, it was bad. I think we were wound so tightly in that game that we made uncharacteristic mistakes across the board, lining up wrong, throws, catches, penalties, you name it, we did it. We definitely, it was a learning experience for us. It was. It was a big game. Our kids had a really intense week of practice. They wanted it so bad, and they showed up, and I think we got so tightly wound that we just couldn't go out and perform like we normally perform. So there were learning lessons, and we said to the kids, look, to achieve our goals, you're going to have to beat them a second time. The first time matters, but it doesn't matter. To achieve our goals, you got to win the second one. So you gotta learn from the first one, and I think that there's a lot to learn. Now, having said that, CBA is an immensely talented team that they don't have a ton of weaknesses. You know, for a high school team, you look at them, and not only do they not have a ton of weaknesses, there aren't many players you could look at on their team and say, well, if that guy goes down, they're screwed. No, they got a guy coming off the bench. I mean, they have three running backs with Division I offers. They got guys coming off the bench who are very talented and can step right in. Not a lot of high school teams have that. You know, having said that, our goal is to go in and make it a game, make it a fight, make it a battle. I mean, and I think you saw what CNS did, not so much from a schematic standpoint, but just the way they went in and said, we're gonna battle. And I think that's the attitude that you have to take. And I think coming up to that game, we had played some league games coming up that weren't of the speed or caliber of CBA, and you can make mistakes against those types of teams sometimes and not be punished for it. But when you make mistakes against a good team, they make you feel it right away, and that's what CBA did. So, you know, that's kind of my synopsis of it. That's where I think it stands, and they're a really good team, but we are very excited to have another crack at them.
Yeah, and that's going to happen this weekend in the Dome. That is for all of you watching and listening live. This is just a day, not even a little bit over 24 hours from now. that we will have it Saturday, November 15th at 6 p.m., the Section 3 Class AA Championship. Joe, final note here, what you want to say to the Liverpool community who will be joining you in the Dome this weekend?
I want to say thank you for the support all season, and we look forward to seeing you in the Dome.
That coming from Joe Sindoni here on the broadcast. Grandma's pie no matter what. That's how I look at it. So appreciate you, Joe, for everything that you bring. And thank you to you and your entire family for how you've treated me, and for the Liverpool family and how you have welcomed me and what you have done over the years. And to Ari Lieberman and everybody over at Liverpool, this is definitely a very proud moment and a happy moment that the Liverpool football program gets to be represented inside of the Dome because of the work that you did tirelessly. I think it's going to be a great game between you and CBA, and I will be on site for that game. I will be there for every single moment of this, and I can't wait, because I definitely have a lot of respect and a lot of appreciation for the work that you and your staff have done in short order time. So congratulations for getting to this point. I know the job is not finished, and I will look forward to seeing you in the Dome.
Thank you.